there's been a lot of controversy about content creators potentially cheating and doing things that they shouldn't be doing in order to make their games easier or just outright deceiving viewers. And I wanted to go over this clip from Diaz Biffle, and we're going to talk about the clip itself here in a second. This is a pro player. He is honestly one of the youngest and also one of probably the most skilled players right now. Gets a lot of controversy, but I wanted to discuss this clip specifically, and then also Jack Frags, who provided the clip on his channel that I'm going to be using for this example. So I'm going to show you the beginning of this clip and why this one went viral and why people were questioning like content creators and how are they able to do things that just don't make sense all the time. Is it cheating? Is it something else? Is it something that's explainable? But watch the clip here with me real quick and take a look at it. So he sees a player in front of him. He shoots him. Gonna go outside here in a second. And he fires randomly, breaks an armor.
I don't know where he is, to be honest.
And his teammate's like, yeah, I don't know where he was, to be honest. And he called him out. And then that clip goes forward. So this is the really cool thing about this. Now, Jack Frags is probably one of the most technical breakdowns of any videos I've ever seen, ever. And if there's a video that I want you to pay attention to, is this one. So I'll link his video in the description because I think this gets a lot of credit that it deserves. But I want to go over and offer you guys my opinion on this. When you go through this clip, you see all these things a lot. People break down clips. They talk about suspicious things. They talk about exploits. They talk about how did he know somebody was there? How did this happen? Symphony gets a lot of it. But if we watch this clip specifically from the beginning again, you can tell that he basically breaks the armor of this player outside. And that's where people were kind of confused. So he shoots the player here. Player's running into that room. He almost breaks his armor. He's going to reload after he pushes up a little bit. And then you see on the radar in the top left corner, you have a little red dot there that's signaling it's behind this wall. And then this player is going to push over here to the left. And then he's going to walk out, and then you don't see anything. If I pause it, you don't see a player in this corner. Well, my camera's blocking that, so I actually got to remove that for a second. You don't see a player underneath this area here on the right. You don't see a player behind the bushes. You don't see a player at the tree. You're just kind of like, well, what's going on? Like, that's interesting. So we play it a little bit more, and then he just randomly fires, and he gets an armor break. And you're just like, dude, how did you get that armor break? Like, where the fuck is this guy? He's not behind the tree. He's not behind the plant. He's not there. Is he behind the planter? Is he in a window? Is he over here? Don't see him at all. And his teammate calls out like, hey, I didn't see this guy. You know, like, you'll hear it in the audio, and it's really funny.
What was that? What was that, D? What was that?
I don't know where he is, to be honest.
I don't know where he is, to be honest. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. But I wanted to kind of break this clip down. Jack does an incredible job. If you watch the rest of the video, he goes through and he shows all this stuff, like where he does some testing. But essentially what this comes down to is the game kind of lies to you in some ways. You have to slow this frame by frame, and I don't really have the time to do it on a live stream, so it's a little bit harder to do this. But I wanted to show you like the first bullet here. So he walks outside, you don't see anything, and he fires right here. The bullet looks like it's going to hit this little concrete thing. The player is actually probably behind this bush or in that window climbing out. You don't actually get to tell where this player is. But I wanted to give you guys an example of like what a pro player is thinking, because I think this is something that people miss out on. Players who accuse him of something like silent aim is usually what's more common. But what I see is just like a chess player thinking a couple of moves ahead. And the reason for that is if you know how to pay attention to the radar, you commonly see people accusing Z-Laner of looking to his left all the time. My camera's mirrored, so it always sometimes looks like I look the wrong way, like Coca-Cola logos backwards. Other streamers have their cameras placed up over certain places, but my camera is right where the radar is. So if I'm looking there, I'm looking at the radar. And you'll notice that like pro players will constantly like look to the left, look back, look to the left, and look back. The reason they do that is they want to look at the radar. They want to see the rotation for other players. People always say it's a fake wall hack or something else, but when you are in this position and you break an armor and you have a red dot here, there's a window on the backside of this building, and he is more than well aware of that. So what he's going to do is he's going to push over here as this player is probably going this way. And normally sometimes if you basically preemptively shoot just because you don't know if the guy's there and you want to catch the drop on him. So what you'll do is you'll do essentially what he did. He pushes up, he's kind of listening, you're looking at the radar, it pings, so he knows that this player's still behind this wall somewhere. Now, does he hear somebody? Does he know if somebody's there? Not entirely. So he's going to push up, and you hear a footstep, and it sounds like to me that he heard a player on grass outside or mantling that window. So he immediately kind of responds to that, and you're like, okay, I heard that. And I can maybe play it again here real quick. Right there, you hear footsteps. And then you're gonna see him turn, and then he's gonna go out. Now, not only this is the cool part about movement. He's gonna move out, and he's gonna sprint, and he's gonna immediately turn to the right. And what you're gonna do in this situation is you just kind of pre-fire around the corner, because if you think that this player is on this outside edge, you pre-fire. Now, how does his pre-fire hit this target? You can't see the target. You don't know where he is. He's a PC player. He's on a controller, and he just hip fires, and he randomly gets an armor break. None of the other bullets hit. He only hits one shot. That's why it's indicated by the blue hit marker box here. The next follow-up shots don't hit. You see the armor break. He doesn't have a white hit marker, so that means he only hit one bullet. Jack does an incredibly good explanation of this, probably over the top. He went back and he simulated it, and I wanted to kind of show you guys that too, because I think it's important. What he ended up doing was going through this entire moment, and he had someone sitting back over here, and he used the same gun. He's breaking down like how this weapon works. Now, there's a reason that this is important. I'll get to that. So he has somebody sit behind this mound here. Then he goes into the lobby with the same gun, and he reenacts the play. And what he'll end up doing is it took him a little bit of time, but he was able to reenact this. Like, he's going to hip fire it, and he's going to miss. He's just going to try to hip fire again, try to hip fire. And eventually, he does actually get a hit marker. Right there, you see it happen. So how does that happen? How do you get a random hit marker? A lot of the time in Call of Duty, things are just random for a reason. It doesn't mean that you're cheating. It doesn't mean that you're doing something suspicious. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes pro players do things that just don't make sense. And also, they can be presented in a weird way. The one part that I really want to touch on is a little bit more complicated, and it's more like details and stats, and people don't really care about it. But we'll get to that in a second. Aim assist on a controller. We talk about aim assist a lot of the time, but when you ADS with your aim assist, usually those first couple shots, as you're aiming down, it kind of makes a cone. So if you are standing still, you're ready to shoot, and you aim down your sight, it'll make that cone tighter. Like, you'll see your crosshairs get smaller and smaller. So as somebody pushes around that corner, and as he kind of hip fire ADSs, you might get lucky aim assist on this clip, and that aim assist will just somehow hit that target. It's not necessarily going to hit every shot, but he pushes out and he just fires randomly. But you notice how he scoped in. So he went from being like hip fire to scoping in. He doesn't know where this player is. He has no idea. If he did know, he would continue to shoot. But he's still like, wait, what the fuck happened at the end of it? And he's like, I honestly don't know where he is, but I got him, he broke an armor. It does show him later go chase him down because he hears him break glass in this building behind it, and then he kills him over at silos. But the one thing that people misunderstand is how aim assist works occasionally. Aim assist, when you scope in, it kind of gets tighter and more aggressive as you scope in. There's also a thing in Warzone that if you are walking forward as you're aimed down sights, your crosshair will move a little bit more to the left or the right toward the direction of that player. And it's a really, really important thing to understand that. People don't get it. So when they see this and they're just like, well, how does he know that he's there? He doesn't know that he's there. The only information that he had was a red dot from the radar. He heard footsteps on grass or concrete outside. You hear it here in these slides, and he just pre-fires. I've done this multiple times. Now, you notice how there's screen tearing on this clip? Screen tearing is basically when you're recording or streaming, you get screen tears that get put into the feed, and it doesn't really give you the best accuracy. And this is something else I wanted to talk about because a lot of people just kind of ignore this. When you are a viewer, this is a huge thing, like massive. You are watching uncompressed video. I am playing at 1440p on 150 to 300 FPS, depending on your PC ability. You have 240 hertz monitor with a 1 millisecond refresh rate. You have 0 audio compression. So I am listening to raw audio. I am seeing raw gameplay that is like 2 feet in front of my face. When you're on a live stream and you are watching the live stream, it's being broadcast at 8,000 kilobits per second. Not anywhere close to HD footage. A lot of people are watching on mobile phones. You have tiny screens, you have bad sound, you're missing details because the audio rate is compressed from being raw audio to like 192 kilobits or even less per second. So it's really bad. And then a lot of people don't even listen with headphones. They listen with their cell phone speakers. So some of the sounds that you will hear in a video, you're not going to hear in the game. Like, I'll hear it on the game, but you guys will not hear it in the video. You also won't see something because of how fuzzy things look. Like my raw gameplay video compression, it just basically makes everything more pixelated. So you're watching his gameplay at 60 FPS, probably around 1080p, depending on what bitrate he streams at. You might even be watching at 720, 900p, and it's going to make things incredibly hard to see. let alone here. So there's a lot of these things, also skipped frames, where you will have a frame that just doesn't get included. So it should have 60 FPS, but it kind of like hides one and it misses one. So sometimes when you're aiming, it'll like jump cut and it makes it look like you're aiming faster and faster and faster. So there's a lot of these things that go into a video, and when you try to break down gameplay, that people don't take into account because it's boring and it's not exciting or it's not interesting. And they just go, yeah, that looks suspicious. But they don't realize that if you have a 60 FPS clip or a 30 FPS clip and you're missing 5 or 6 frames, it can look even more suspicious than it used to look. But this clip, to me, it looks sus at first, but when you really break it down, and like I said, Jack did an incredible job. I'm not sure how old this clip is, but he really goes on for 10 minutes in here. He goes through a ton of details that I'm not going to be able to get through, and you should really go watch his video. He's probably one of my favorite creators, and just because of how much detail he has. But it's really self-explanatory to a lot of pro players when you break it down as lucky aim assist. And I also want to explain, like, these clips are great to talk about because, one, they generate attention, they generate views, they generate income. And a lot of the people who accuse pro players of cheating or other people of cheating generally make a YouTube channel or a style of commentary where it's like, hey, is so-and-so cheating? Even the title of this video. I probably wouldn't make these videos if they didn't get views to begin with, but I feel like mine is more of a defense. Like, let's talk about plausibility versus accusations. Let's actually go through things and actually show people what they are. Now, he talks about like silent aim and steady aim later on, like what that looked like and how it works. But to me, this is just aim assist. And when you have content creators misleading the general public in a way, to accuse pro players just by saying, hey, that clip looks suspicious, but they don't have any other proof other than that, I'd say that's a pretty bold statement. Did I say Z-Laner was cheating? No, I never did. Z-Laner is a good example. People accuse him of cheating, yet he's never been banned, suspended, or any type of issues whatsoever on any of his accounts on multiple games. But that's the point. You have a lot of content creators who go after people just for the sake of using their name to get brand ignition and to get brand recognition, and then also like to get just clicks. Z-Laner, for example, is like probably the most favorite one people go after because he's so popular and he's very consistent right now. So if you mention his name on a video upload and you say, hey, so-and-so is cheating, no one really cares. But if you say this guy is cheating and then you use his name, everybody's going to search it, they're going to click it, they're going to find it, they're going to argue about it, which is going to bring the engagement of that video up, which is going to make them more views, more clicks, more money, more ad revenue. But I also wanted to give you guys an example of my own about how you can't always trust clips for what they are. This is a roughly edited clip that I had as a sniper, and basically my webcam is behind this, so you'll see a little bit of movement here. But let me show you a sniper clip of mine and why you can't always trust things to be what they are. This one's actually pretty funny.
See him actually. Hold on.
So I scope up and I say, I see him actually. Hold on. Bang. And I immediately kill this guy sitting behind the trailer. So let's back that up because I know a lot of people are going to want to be like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm already out of a car and I'm going to shoot this guy.
Hold on.
I see him actually. Hold on. Bang. And I immediately aim to the thing, kill him. And you're just like, how did you know that that guy was running from that location? So what we're going to do is I fast forwarded. Like, I rewinded this whole clip back out, like, we went from 41 seconds on the timer to back to about 30 seconds left in the second circle. So I went back in time, essentially, is what I did. And I'm going to show you guys how I knew that player was there and where I found that player. Because a lot of people don't understand that if you edit a clip, you can make it look much more dramatic and more misleading than it should be. And a lot of content creators do this either to make their clips look better or just cause people to comment. And then a lot of others will also do this just to mislead people. Sometimes it's unintentional, but a lot of the time you need to have that background information. Otherwise, it just leaves out too many details. And this is how false accusations happen. So I pop a UAV and pull up the mini-map, and I look at the mini-map and I go, hey, yeah, there's a guy out here, like out there. And you'll see him on the mini-map here in a second. Like, there's a little red dot. It's very faint. It's just trying to do this on a live is tough. So I ping it, I see it, and it's like, all right, well, let's go jump in the car. See, I see the guy on the mini-map out here, and I drive on over, and it takes me a little while to get there. Now, I'm still looking at the mini-map. I'm still looking over at the radar, trying to see if he's on the horizon here. Don't see him at all. So in my mind, if you're out in this location on the old map, where are you going to go? If there's a buy station or there's cover behind that wall, you're probably going to be back there.
Means he's at the wall. There's a most wanted.
I literally just said he's at the wall in the old video. And he probably picked up a most wanted, talking about another player. There's a player to my right somewhere behind like this area. Don't know exactly where he is, but
There's a gulag though.
I come over here, still looking for him, don't see him, don't see him, don't see him, don't see him. There's a buy station here, but he's not on the radar yet. And then I
Make sure my
pull the
gun
car over here, look over to the right, and I'll try to pause it. Right there. You guys can see him if you're looking really hard. It's like finding Where's Waldo. But he's right there in that corner, right where my mouse cursor is. It's very hard to see, but you can clearly see that player is there. So if I speed this up a little bit, you can see him a little bit better, and you're like, okay, that's cool. He's just sitting in the corner. I'm in the car. He's obviously looking at me. He's not on the radar, so I don't see him on the radar, but I definitely fucking see him right here. So I'm going to speed up the clip a little bit, and I say, I see him, right?
I see him actually. Hold on.
So I poke my head up the wall. He's not there anymore. But if you were to break this down frame by frame, you basically see like the edge of him pushing to the left. So I already know that he's moving to the left. What you have right now is a situation where there's a door on the front of this trailer, and then you have the side of the trailer and the wall. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he's going from the left to the, he's going from my right to his left. He can either go into the building and I won't be able to see him, but he's not going to peek the right side because he literally just ran past it. So that leaves two options. He can go in the door, he can peek this corner, or he's going to go around the wall by climbing over it. I guess three options. But the best thing that you could do is scope in right here and wait. Because if he tries to make across this wall, or he tries to make it behind this building, you actually have an opportunity to see him. So I click it and you watch, bang, immediately he walks out. Now, when I uploaded this gameplay, I had hundreds of comments where people were like, you're cheating. How did you know he was there? There was a whole thread on it. People were just going over the top with like accusations and just excuses. But this is what I mean. If you leave out parts or details or do something that someone doesn't have the awareness of, it drastically causes problems for content creators. Now, I know I don't have to prove myself to others. I just don't have a ban on my account after 10 plus years. So it's like I haven't been banned forever. Probably not cheating, right? After 10 plus years playing every day for 8 hours a day. It's just that a lot of people want to believe more than just, oh, he's a good player. They just want to just think, oh, there's something up. But if we went back to like the Biffle clip, that clip's a little different because it's a hip fire accuracy style thing. I wish I had the sniper clip from the other day, but some dude parachuted out of the air. I quick scope at him, I miss. My teammate downs him, so he's falling to his death. And I see him on the way down, and I quick scope at him just randomly, and I hit him, and I killed him out of the air, like executed him out of the air before he hit the ground. Just a random quick scope. And it's like, well, how the fuck did you manage to do that? Just dumb luck. So there are dumb luck moments in Call of Duty, but when you understand like the bigger picture of what's happening, when you understand how aim assist works and how aim assist can sometimes give you more luck on hitting some of those shots, you understand that like as you ADS, the cone gets tighter and it makes your bullets potentially a little bit more accurate. It starts making more sense. And then you start breaking down the gameplay itself and you look at it and go, hey, he was in this building. He shot at this player. He has a UAV going on. And listen very closely to the audio. So he breaks the player. He's pretty low on ammo. He's got 11 bullets, so he's going to push over here, just trying to get more cover. And right here, you hear footsteps outside and you hear a leaf. So when you hear that, and you're inside here, and you see a radar dot that basically, if you were to zoom that in, it looks like he's on the outside of the building. So in my mind, Biffle's probably one of a better, he's more of a professional style player. He's going to be ahead of you a little bit. So what he's going to do is probably slide around that corner and maybe pre-fire it. Pre-firing's pretty rare, but this guy already knows where he is, right? He already shot him. He's not going to give away any information. So why not? So he pushes the corner. You don't see anything, but then he just fires, thinking maybe he's here. Maybe he thought he saw something. You also have to understand that this is a very fast moment. Like I'm pausing it, talking about it, slowing it down. When this is in game, you're arguing like a second to make a decision of whether to shoot or not to shoot. So he's pretty much just like, hey, I heard a footstep. Let me get ready. Let me push around that corner. Let me fire at him. Let me shoot at him. See what happens. So you're going to hear it again. Right there. Grass. Slides, pre-fires, and he hits him. And then he's just like, yeah, I don't know where the fuck he was to his teammate. His teammate's spectating, if you guys haven't figured that out yet. But when you see something like that at first glance, I can definitely understand the impression that it looks weird and that it's not natural. But when you're playing against a professional player at a higher level, they're going to do a lot of things that don't make sense to you because you're not thinking ahead like they are. That is the simplest explanation I can give you. When you play Counter-Strike, if for those of you guys that do play Counter-Strike, it's very common for players to pre-aim corners or to pre-fire around corners because they can pretty much pre-aim a wall in a corner, and then as they peek it, they can fire, and they know where that bullet's going to go, and that bullet may or may not hit a player on the other side of that because it's a common look spot or a place where people tend to be. It's the same thing in Warzone. Time and time again, you play a map, you learn it like the back of your hand. The same reason when I gave you that gameplay example of me pre-aiming that guy with the sniper rifle and watching him walk out, because it's like, I know he can walk in through the wall. I know he can jump out through the side of the container or go over the wall in the back. So if I look at this left side, I should be able to catch him, right? Most pro players are thinking ahead. They are pretty much going to be a little bit smarter than you, or the average player, I should say. I shouldn't really just say you. And they're going to probably do things that just don't make sense because they've done it before. They're definitely a higher caliber player. If you're a 3.0, 4.0 KD, I think Biffle's around like a 5 or something stupid, ridiculously high. So I don't think people understand the skill gap. And I try to give the example of like Counter-Strike, because Counter-Strike has a ranked system. It goes all the way of like gold, silver, bronze, whatever, to like LEM, diamond, global, whatever. Cut out diamond. But the idea is like, if you take a global elite player, like the best of the best, the highest ranked player, and you put him against like a silver player, he is going to shit on everybody in that lobby because they're not going to know how to aim. They're not going to know how to pre-fire certain areas. They're not going to know how to engage or take a site nearly as effectively as that other player does. But I think this is a good example. Jack does touch on like how the hit markers work. He shows you that if you're shooting a player, you get one hit marker, and if you get a second one, it'll turn gray. So in the clip, you only get one hit marker. But to me, all this is, there's a player hiding behind the bush. He heard grass, so he walked out, tried to pre-fire, and he's like, okay, he's not there, but he got a hit. And he's just kind of like, well, that's confusing. And then he went back inside, and then eventually, as the clip plays out, he runs through like a window here, and you hear glass break on the way out or the way in. So he tracks him down and kills him later. But I think people need to understand, aim assist does some really weird shit. It doesn't necessarily mean people are cheating, doesn't mean that they're not. But in my opinion, if you are a professional player and you're playing in multiple tournaments, multiple events, you haven't been caught in years. You've been playing for 3 to 4 to 5 years. All it takes is one mistake. Somebody sees some clips that don't make sense. They make a gigantic montage of it. People, pros, orgs can look at it and decide. But I think visual proof is very hard. I uploaded some proof of like Toupee, for example, cheating and doing stuff that was kind of suspicious. That is like 20 to 30, 50 hours. Any one of his live streams you can pick apart. When you look at these other pro players, there's not a lot of data there. So you can't just make those judgments instantly and go, yeah, he's doing it. He did something weird. So this is like low level proof of anybody doing it. It's not even what I would consider to be proof. This is just a lucky moment. Symphony has an entire montage of lucky clips. And a lot of the time it's just him fucking around because he knows people make videos and talk about it, which gets him more attention and more views. And all he's doing is he's shooting as a player. He hears footsteps, and then he just shoots to his right, or he just shoots randomly just for the fun of it by looking at the radar or to a place or a location where a player is. But he does it very fast and very quick. And sometimes he'll get hit markers, and you're just like, how did he do it? Well, if you do something for 1,000 different times in a row, eventually it might work out, and you might hit something that looks kind of crazy. And when it does happen, it goes viral. People get kind of caught up in it. They make accusations. He gets more views, more attention, and it works better for him. Like, he obviously knows that he's not cheating. He would probably been banned by now if he was. I think it's just when people look for stuff and they try to break everything down, they're either doing it for a couple reasons. One, they're generally curious. Two, they're either trying to potentially mislead their audience to make money and just accuse other pros. When the Bad Boy Beam stuff came out, when Z-Laner, he accused Z-Laner of cheating, his first video got a couple million views. I think it was like 1.2, 1.5 million. That's a lot of money. That's like 5 to 10 grand, maybe more, in cash from one video, just for reference. So you guys go, man, I wonder where these guys get motivation to make all these accusations. And then if you go look at their channels, it's literally Diaz is cheating, Symphony's cheating, Huskers is cheating, Z-Laners is cheating. Any big content creator that has attention, they go after, because people will click those and give them views and give them impressions. I would not go after somebody unless I had 100% concrete proof that they're doing something wrong. And most of the time, People don't have that. They really don't. Unless your cheat menu pops up, unless you expose yourself in some way, or unless somehow it slips, like your screen just shows it or whatever else happens. But you can't really just be like, yeah, that guy's cheating. His clips look suspicious. That is like the lowest bar of proof. But you are also appealing to people that are of average skill. So if you are an average skilled player and you're giving commentary on someone that's below your skill level or around your skill level, it's going to make more sense to that person. It's more believable. It's like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. That must be silent aim, right? That's what it looks like. And then everyone else is going to buy into it. So I would really recommend that most people look through this stuff and try to understand that who you're watching matters. And if you're watching somebody who has a track record of just accusing professional players over and over and over, and then he's had his account banned for hacking, rage hacking, cheating, I don't know whose word I would take for it, but probably not his. But I think people need to understand that cheating is not necessarily as common when it comes to content creation as people make it out to be. I have looked through making content videos around it lately. I've been doing it for a couple weeks now. I've noticed my views have gone up. I've noticed I've gotten more attention for it. But at the same time, it's something that you can't just be like, everyone's cheating. You have to be very careful about who you're going to accuse if you are. And then even then, I go after people that have been proven to be cheating. And if I'm looking for content creators, people think it's so common. It's like, where are all the content creators getting caught? Where are all the streamers? Name them. There's not that many. When it comes to big content creators, the only one I can think of would be Mr. Golds. And he was one of the first people I ever made a video about, showing his wall hacks, like his cheat menu pop up on his own stream. So the reality is, the vast majority of content creators are not cheating. You will see small creators get caught a lot because they don't really have a lot of viewers, so it's easier to hide. It's easier to get away with. You don't have as many eyes watching you. You are most likely going to be seeing them participate in tournaments for maybe $500, wager tournaments, maybe even upwards of 5K, 10K, 20K events that they get invited to, and it's like their first tournament. Sometimes you'll see that happen where people that are non-successful as like a full-time creator and they get accused because they get caught, you know, their wall hacks pop up, or another player will kind of like call them out for being suspicious, and then they kind of like break down all their gameplay and people catch them. But most of the time they get caught on their own. You know, their cheat menu pops up, their wall hacks show in the background, and it's just undeniable at that point. It's like, dude, you literally saw their manager pop up. Like, you can't run away from that. But I'm telling you, this whole idea of attacking and going after content creators is insane. Unless you have verifiable proof, you should keep their names out your mouth. Like, you just shouldn't fucking mention them. Because 9 times out of 10, there is no proof. There is no evidence.